Roosters host the Panthers Thursday, 8 p.m, 7 p.m. Queensland time. Live on SEN with Joel Kane, Brett Kamali and Spud Carroll. Keary back to partner Sam Walker with Sandon Smith out. I will just say quickly, and I'd love to get your thoughts, if everyone was not injured, like if everyone was free to play, geez, I'd be tempted to keep Sandon Smith, Sam Walker, and give Keary an extra week just to rest, just to see how they win. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that would definitely be an option. But I think as soon as Keary's fit and ready to go, I think he goes straight back in. Naturally, just being a more senior player. I totally understand where you're coming from, though, Kempy. Their combo last week was very good. And at times you had to double check like the jersey number on their back. Geez, they look alike in the way they play.
Yeah.
Particularly with those couple of little kicks into the in goal, like their little kick and chase of their own kick, where they got a couple of tries from. But no, I think Keary back in the side is fair enough. With Sammy Walker, Lindsay Collins out with that hammy. Look, this is a good game. It's a shame that all the big names aren't available. Fisher Harris still out, isn't he?
Yeah, Fisher's out. But Maverick Geyer steps in.
Yeah, Mav Geyer. So this is this will be a huge moment for the Geyer family. Of course, Mark Geyer. Most people know him as Big MG. Of course, a Penrith legend. Helped win a premiership for the Panthers, their first premiership. It's his son making his debut there for the Panthers this weekend. So that's a huge moment for the entire family. I know Matty quite well, Maverick's uncle, from my playing days at the Melbourne Storm, and I'm sure they'll all be proud as punch. But I think Roosters. I really, really enjoyed watching them go about their stuff on the weekend against the Rabbits. If they can find that same energy and commitment that they played with, and rightly so, it was Jared's 300th, and I think that's where they got a lot of their motivation from, as well as being the rivalry game against the Rabbits. They need to get themselves up for this one. They're playing the three-time premiers in the Panthers, but no Cleary, no Fisher Harris as well. I think if they play that same game or similar game that they played last week, I think they're a real good chance of winning this one.
Well, won't it be interesting? And I understand the Broncos lost Reece Walsh last week, but all the talk going into the game was Reynolds out, Haas out. Now, the Panthers go into this game in a relatively similar situation. Fisher Harris out, Nathan Cleary out. And I think we'll get a really good indication of, I guess, the different levels of depth that each club has, because basically, Broncos were going to play Penrith, the three-time premiership. Penrith are going to play the Roosters, who, have been playing incredibly well. And so it's going to be a real test of Penrith Panthers' depth this year, because I can't remember the last time they had both Fisher Harris and Cleary out, and they are truly key players to that squad.
Yeah. They, I think they may have played without them on a couple of occasions over the last couple of years, maybe when they were rested coming into the back end of the year. But, it's a little bit different now. No Cogger.
Yeah.
Who was so important to Penrith when Cleary wasn't there, right? Either Cleary missing or Jerome Luai missing. Cogger would come in and he would play a similar style of footy. Interesting to see how Brad Schneider fits into their lineup, because they play a certain style of footy, don't they, Penrith?
Absolutely.
No matter who's in the lineup, they don't tend to change their style of football. They try and have just everyone play their role the way they would if they were from 1 to 17 with their stronger side. But it's unfair on Brad because he's not Nathan Cleary. We all seen how good Nathan was the other night, and I made the point after the match. We were talking about his performance, and the way he plays is like he's like an NFL quarterback, right? So he's got the playbook in his head, and everyone else around him understands that playbook as well. But at any point in time, any tackle, he pulls the strings and says, "Righto, boys, we're putting this play on." He's the one that makes the decision where the ball goes, but everyone else just plays their role in that play, and they put themselves in the position where they need to be for Nathan Cleary, right? So he's not He's not your most outstanding sort of halfback, where he's got excellent speed or strength, although like he's got a little bit of both. He is just a player that is more consistent than any other number 7 in the game with what he does and how constant he's at the opposition. That's what makes him so good. That's what makes him so good.
That's such a good point, Smithy. Like, you might have a lot of halves where they go 20 minutes of peppering you or 30 minutes, but Cleary, he's asking that question every minute of every game, essentially. Anytime that he can ask the question, he'll ask the question at about an 8 or 9 out of 10. That's such a great insight. Another little thing with the Panthers, and it shows you such a well-coached side. So you know how they've been cracking down on the blockers?
Yep.
Anyway, so other coaches have leaked footage, or someone's leaked footage and leaked it to the media. So what they're doing now, Panthers, is when that last tackle happens, Mitch Kenny will throw the ball to Cleary and then he runs and follows it.
Follows the ball
to block off the marker run.
Too smart.
They're so smart. It's just like when you're at the top, it's just that's what you do. That's what you do.
Well, that's thinking about the game, and it's staying ahead of the game, Kempy.
Yeah.
Right? So a new rule comes into play to help other teams, or to take a strength of particularly the top teams away from them, to even out the contest. And then they just go, no, we'll find another way. We'll find another way. And I'll tell you what, people can view it as illegal, but it's not. How's that illegal?
It's not.
It's the dummy half passing the ball and following the play.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait for this clash. Now, on to Rabbitohs v. the Dogs. This will be live on SEN with Jimmy Smith, Justin Horro, Tim Manor. Cook named to started hooker this week after last week being put to the bench. Hawkins keeps his spot in the halves. Bulldogs, no changes. How do you see this one playing out, Smithy?
Not sure. This is a huge game for the Rabbits.
Oh, my God.
Huge game for the Rabbits. They this is the worst start to a season for them in a long, long time. I'm talking, off the top of my head, I'm thinking way back to 2008. Something around that, Kempy. 0-3 they are now. And, I just don't know what happens at Redfern Oval if they go 0-4. Oh, sorry, they're not Redfern Oval anymore. They've moved. They've got a brand new facility. But I don't know what happens at the Rabbitohs if they get beaten by the Bulldogs, which in the form that they're taking into this match it's every chance it could happen. Every chance it could happen.
Mate, I'm just... The thing is the Bulldogs, even though they lost their first 2 games, they showed so much fight. They were outstanding last game. Yes, it was against the Titans. But it would be hard not for JD, if they lose this match, to not make a very drastic... significant change. Not necessarily around form, but around sending a message. So there's going to be someone that, even if they play okay, someone's going to have to be the scapegoat to send a strong message. Because how else do you get through this?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have seen that as Lachlan Ilias, right? After round 2, but that didn't really change a whole heap, given he's a relatively young guy. How many games has he played?
50 max. 50, 60.
Let's just say around the 50 mark.
Yep.
The message isn't going to be heard unless it's an older senior player. Now, I'm not at all. I don't think we're talking about that should happen, but there needs to be some sort of change. They can't just keep doing the same thing every week and expect a different result. That's just that's just craziness.
Yeah.
Thinking that. So I don't know. Is it a change of the lineup? There's a lot of people. I've seen comments around maybe moving Latrell Mitchell. Does he move from fullback to a different position, like to play in the left centre, possibly?
Yeah.
But then what happens to Jack Whiten? What does Jack do? Does he go to the back row? Does he play fullback?
Other centre spot, maybe.
Yeah. Does he switch sides? But he's a left side player.
Yeah. Gray has been outstanding in New South Wales Cup at fullback. Not to say that he's in Latrell's level. And I think you just said it as well. It's not necessarily about a specific player. It's just in these dire moments, a strong message needs to be said. There's just no other way around it. So hopefully they can get a win, and maybe this is just exactly what they need. I will say some of these chopping and changing has been interesting. Okay, so early in the year, they moved Cam Murray to a bench. Shaq Mitchell comes in and plays 13. Then he's out of the 18, and I don't think he's been back since. So unless he's injured, apologies if he's injured, then Damien Cook starts. Then he gets put to and then round 3 gets put to the bench to start the game. Havili goes in there to start. And then at the moment, Havili has been named out of the side. And so I'm getting, I would just love to know what's going on there with some of these decisions in regards to a player that's in your starting side 1 week and has pushed out a veteran. All of a sudden, he's not even in the side unless he's injured. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, it creates a bit of confusion, I believe. Within the squad, that when you're chopping and changing, and then all of a sudden, so Havili he's promoted to the starting side, as you mentioned. May have been a late change in the lineup, but all the same, he was promoted to the starting side, and then finds himself not in the team the next week. I don't know. I just think it adds a bit of confusion within the group. It's hard then to build cohesion within the group too when there's so many changes. When the team as a whole is struggling.
Yeah.
They're not playing their best at all. So with the chopping and changing, it's hard. I just think that...
So Shaq Mitchell, Shaq Mitchell's back in. He's back in on the bench this week.
I think the only way they can fix it is through effort.
Yeah.
There you go. And I've tipped them. All right, I'm tipping the Rabbits in this one. I'm happy to give them another go. But the only way they get themselves out of this little hole that they're in at the moment, they're not in dire straits right now. It's only 3 rounds. I know they haven't posted a win yet, but they need to put effort in. They need to put in more effort than what I've seen in particular over the last couple of weeks.
Mate, I am actually going to go. The Rabbitohs broke my heart last week. They broke my heart. I just got a text here. Hey, Kempy, what has happened to Tyrone Morrow? He's been injured for most of the year, and I think he's pushing his way through reserve grade to get back into the side.
Yep.
I'm going to go the Bulldogs.
Doggies.
I'm going Doggies. They broke my heart. I went Rabbitohs last week. I thought, look, if they couldn't bounce back for that, I'm going Doggies.
You've just wiped them.
No, I haven't wiped them, but I know. I just think the way the Dogs played last week, they're coming in with a lot of confidence.
Yep.
They've been ripping and tearing for 3 rounds now. Every single game they've played, even though they haven't won the first 2, effort has not been the concern. Yep. And the concern I have with the Rabbitohs, if they couldn't get up for that Roosters game, what's going to make them get up for a Doggies game?
True.
But in saying that, I would be glad to be wrong because I love this Rabbitohs side. So many characters. When they're on, it is some of the most exciting footy to watch. But I do think there are a lot of concerns at the club at the moment. I do think that some extremely honest conversations need to be had because this side is way too good to be 0-4 if they do go 0-4. Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got Broncos v. the Cowboys, which is an interesting selection. Kyle Laybutt back in the centres after withdrawing late last week with an ankle injury. Smithy, how do you see this game panning out?
Always a good clash, Bronx-Cows. Especially when it's played at Suncorp. Going to be a big crowd. Good Friday. Everyone's got the day off, so they'll be up there nice and early. As I said earlier, mate, really impressed with the way the Cows are playing at the moment. I think they've got a couple of little things they need to sort out, like defence. Conceding some early points against the Dragons, a little bit concerning last week, but they were good enough to finish strongly over the top of them. So they're going to have to be a little bit better. I think the Broncos. I think we all know that they're a little bit better side than the Dragons at this very point in time. But they do have some key players out. Walsh out, of course, which will help the Cowboys' cause. Payne Haas still out. He's still a few weeks away, isn't he? He's like another 4 or 5 still.
I think at them about 4. It's yeah.
Yeah. So still a few out. Big in Adam Reynolds, particularly with his kicking game against Scotty Drinkwater, one of the form players of the competition. If you can pin Drinkwater into some corners, take away his running game, that'll go a long, long way to the Broncos being in this one. But I'm leaning towards Cows on this. Just given the form they're in at the moment, if they turn up and defend strongly and are happy to get into a bit of a grind and stay patient, not think, well, geez, we haven't scored points for a while, and then start throwing the ball around. I think if they defend strong, stay patient with the footy, I think points will come for them, and I think they might win this one and stay undefeated.
The Cowboys, they remind me a bit of the Broncos last year, where they'd almost go, all right, we'll let you score, a couple tries, but we're so confident in our attack that in a 20-minute period, we're going to put 4 tries in you. And all of a sudden, the game's completely turned on its head. Their attack is, in my opinion, the best in the competition right now. Scotty Drinkwater has been absolutely electric. I think the way that you can try and get him out of the game, especially on kick returns, is exactly what you said. Kick into corners, but also physically rough him up a little bit if you can. I know in the modern game you can't really do that, but physically in contact, he does struggle because he is a bit of a smaller body. And also, if you can negate somehow that one pass off a kick return, so if you can get it deep enough into a corner and have a kick chase strong enough that's almost landing on that pass if he wants to throw it, because we know he'll throw that pass. So if you if you kick into the corner, you get lazy, he'll just throw a massive cutout to his winger that drops back inside. So I think I'm basically just furthering a point is that kick and that kick chase can change all their momentum if they want to win the Broncos. Yeah,
and that's a good point you make there, Kempy, about the Broncos' defence. Like that'll be a huge part of them being in the game, because we've seen last weekend, and we've seen every game that the Cowboys have played. They don't mind throwing the ball around in their own end.
Yeah,
like they were shifting the ball last week, and I think I've seen them do it a couple of times against the Dolphins as well. They were shifting the ball inside their own 10-metre zone. So if they sense an opportunity or they see some space out wide, particularly when they're going out to Val Holmes, they'll he'll zing the ball.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to be invited. Drinkwater, like if he sees it, he'll have a crack, and he's one of those guys that just he doesn't die wandering out the footy field. And if he makes a mistake, it's just erased from his mind straight away, and he just thinks next job.
Yeah,
he'll have a crack the next time to get the ball. So that's one part of the game where if they start to drop off a little bit, so if their kicking game is not on, it's slightly off, and they got some space for Drinkwater to return the ball, and then that next tackle, that's the vital one.
Yeah,
those next, you could even throw in the next 2. If they don't have some good line speed and they've got all their players downfield in that line moving up, then they could be doing some chasing.
Yeah. And ironically, you actually do more work by not doing the hard work early. It's something that they used to drill in at the Bronx early 2000 was do the hard work first, And that's how often do we watch games where three ins, centres and wingers, they go, the ball's not coming my side, so I'm not going to get any line speed, I'm not going to get up. And then before you know it, you're going, oh my God, there's half a line break here. And so, it's key for the Broncos. If they even want to give themselves an opportunity, it's doing the hard work first. And 9 times out of 10, you'll do the hard work first and nothing will happen. You won't even need to make a tackle. But it's that 10th time, if you're not there, you'll get skinned by Scotty Drinkwater and, Val Holmes. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got plenty more to talk about, including Dragons v Manly, but also we've got to talk about the Titans. What is doing? Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We're here for Chemist Warehouse. Save on your prescriptions at Chemist Warehouse. Head into store today. Let's get straight into it, shall we? Dragons host the mighty Sea Eagles. Molo, Little and Sewer back in for the Dragons. Hame Saleh makes his club debut. What a big in for the Dragons. Now, on to Manly. No changes made. Aren't Dragons an interesting team this year? Because I feel like you see these flashes of, this could be a team that challenges from 8th to 11th. And then you see other periods where you're like, oh, God, this is going to be tough.
Yeah. I think when you look at the Dragons, I think everyone, that first up win, right, when they beat the Titans, I think everyone was like, wow. I think everyone sort of sat back and thought, wow. Flano, Shane Flanagan, he's made a huge impact on this group. Lomax to the wing. Sloan, best game that he's played in a long, long time at fullback. They look like they've got a great mix, in their footy side, and they're playing good footy. But I think the following week they sort of come crashing back down to earth with that loss to the Dolphins, where they didn't score a point, conceded 38. And then also looking at the form of the Titans, the team they beat first up, you're sort of thinking, well, maybe it's not the team, Kempy. Maybe it's not the team or the change that they've made dramatically over this pre-season. But still, they're a better side than what they've shown the last couple of weeks. Let's be honest. It's you don't want to be too harsh on these teams because you know that they've got better football in them than what they've shown. Particularly the Dragons. A lot of people say, well, no, they're not a great footy side. I still think they're better than what they've dished up the last couple. Like they conceded 38 against the Titans. Started extremely well on the weekend. Extremely well.
Yeah.
Against the Cowboys, and I was watching that game, thinking, well, here we go. Like this is what a lot more what we were seeing in round one, and then just that middle part of the game, the grindy part of the game, it seemed like it just got a little bit too much for them, and the Cowboys overpowered them, of course. Before a late try in the last 10 minutes, where the game was done and dusted. But I think this week, Dragons v Manly. Manly, I'll just go back to what I mentioned earlier. I think they, along with North Queensland, have the most potent attack at the moment. They showed that on the weekend against Parramatta. Close game for them, big game for them. But their early attack was incredible. Incredible.
Look, the thing that I really get excited for with Manly, again, the question obviously, the forward pack, can they go 27 rounds? But they still have some ins to come back in for sure.
Yeah.
But when they are humming, for example, how good's Brooks has been for the first 3 rounds?
So good, mate.
And then you add that to DCE. How long has it been since DCE had a genuine 6 that can create space for him?
Yep.
It's just
true. It's been a while.
Been a very long time. And a Tom Trbojevic, he looks as fit as he's ever looked. So at the start of last year, you could see his gait was a bit changed, and he looked a bit. He just didn't look like he was fully free. At the moment, he looks red hot. Like there's absolutely no dramas in the world. And so there's a lot to like in the Manly side. It's ironically they're a little bit similar-ish to the Cowboys, where if they can just sort that defense out and that grindy bit out, I mean, there's no reason why they can't push for a top 4 at the end of the year.
Yeah, they should be. I think that's where their goal should be that.
Yeah.
I think with the way that they have shown us that they can play footy, there's no reason why they shouldn't be aiming for a top 4 spot. I know finals for everyone is the goal. Like we just want to be part of the finals, but put the bar a bit higher, boys.
Yeah.
You've shown that you can do it. And with the lineup that they boast, and to be fair, like when you look at some of the names, you're like, well, they're not the sort of high profile names in those particular positions across the league, but they've got some really, really good footballers in this outfit, and the main thing about them is they're consistent. And the way they play, their outside backs are big and fast.
Yeah.
They are big and fast, mate. And if you give them room and you give them space, they burn you. And that's what they've done in this early part of the year. I think looking at the Dragons, man, if they really need to tighten their defence up and work hard for each other. If they don't, then there could be this team is capable of doing exactly what the Cowboys did last week.
Now, let's get to the next game. And we've got some texts here. Hey, Beaky, don't give us any tips again because the Titans, didn't you tip the Titans last week? Here's another one. Afternoon, men. Am I suffering early signs of dementia? I'm sure you two blokes tipped the Titans to possibly finish top 4. What are your thoughts now, Brett? Well, firstly, just want to get some specifics out there. I said they were a smoky, the big smoky. Didn't have them in my top 4, but you are correct in saying that I have to readjust my evaluations of the Titans. At the moment, unfortunately, it looks like a disastrous year. It is still early days. But they are nowhere near where I thought they would be at this time. What do you reckon, Smithy?
Oh, mate, no way. I think with looking at their team, look, and they've got some big outs, right? So Fafita hasn't played at all this year. They've just lost Tino. Let's just talk about that quickly. Like the loss of Tino, Fa'asua Malawi. Like not only is he, their starting prop and captain, like he has been the heart and soul of that footy club.
Yeah.
Over the last few years. Heart and soul, mate. Heart and soul. Like they haven't won too many games, but I'll tell you what, he hasn't been anything less than, I reckon, a 7.5 every match that he's played. Like he busts his absolute backside every time he gets out there. So he is a big loss, and I know they've got some. They've got some forwards there that have played some big game footy. Moe Fodawaker's in there. Fafita's got to come back. Bowie Firma's in there. So they're all going to need to step up in his absence. But yeah, they just, I don't know. It's hard to put the finger on what's gone wrong there because they are a better outfit. And I think everyone was thinking, well, Des Hasler turning up, well, like this, they're only going to make this team stronger. More formidable footy side, but it's almost been in the complete opposite.
Yeah, like they've reacted in like literally the opposite way. They seem tired. Their energy is quite low. The little 1%ers don't even. It's genuinely bizarre. Genuinely bizarre. The Titans v the Dolphins though this Saturday. What about the Dolphins? I mean, they come out, have an absolute Barry Crocker, then they come out and absolutely towel the Dragons up.
Yeah.
What do we see with them so far this year?
Yeah, well, night and day, isn't it, really, from one week to the other. And I think a lot of that would have been with the way that Wayne Bennett would have put them through their paces in that second game, given that they were so poor, Kempy. They were. There was no other word for it. They were so poor in the first round match. Could hardly hold on to the footy. Were doing, huge amounts of work defensively. So when they did get the football, and the Cowboys did a great job of turning the ball over close to their line. When they did get the ball, the only energy they had was just to go one out, and they were all bundled up like a swarm of bees behind the football. Yeah. So it was never, ever going to challenge the Cowboys. So, I think they got a bit of a revving on the back of a couple of personnel changes, I think, as well. Katoa coming into the halves. And, I thought he made a real difference there. And the hammer was on fire.
My God.
When they played last as well. So, look, if he's anywhere near that form or feeling in that mood again this weekend, it could be a tri-fest at Seabus Super Stadium. There's no doubt about that. The concerning thing for me, particularly for all of our listeners, sort of down south of the border, the two feeder clubs for the Titans are the Tweed Seagulls and Ipswich Jets. Now, the competition's underway up here in the Queensland Cup. The Tweed Seagulls, they haven't won a match either. Oh. They're 0-3, and the Ipswich Jets, the other feeder club, they are 1-2.
Yeah, wow.
So out of the 6 matches of their feeded teams that have played, they've won 1 game.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah. So when Desi's looking for some answers and then if he's looking for possible changes, he's bringing guys up that their teams aren't particularly in great form either. So he's going to need a huge shift in attitude and mentality from this current side running out this weekend against the Dolphins.
All right, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to preview Warriors v the Knights, Sharkies v the Raiders, Eels v Tigers. Shall we? Warriors, the Wars take on the Knights. Tuivasa-Sheck is named at fullback. Very exciting to see him back there. Niokore coming off the bench for the first time in 2024. Saifidi comes into the starting lineup for Leo Thompson, who was suspended. Cogger and Gamble retain their spots in the halves after a win over the Storm. How do you see this one playing out, Smithy?
I think Warriors too strong, mate. Too strong at home. Great to see the great man RTS Roger back at fullback. He has been so good since coming back.
It's actually crazy.
Hasn't missed a beat. It's like he never left the game. Like his stats from last week. I'll just read them out quickly. 1 try, 1 line break, 5 tackle breaks. Only had to make 6 tackles, which is. How good's that? Mate, 22 runs for 200 metres.
And that crazy try that he scored that got him out to 18-10.
Yeah, like that was a huge effort. You know what I mean? Like crucial try. So that's him playing in the centres. Can only imagine what he's going to do at fullback. So, look, I think too strong. I think too strong for the Knights. Knights were like win's a win, right? Win's a win, and they got one against Storm, which is that's a good scalp, but very much a depleted Melbourne Storm. Like, let's be honest, and they were scrappy in the second half. They just held on.
Yeah, I hate talking like this because they got the win, first win of the year, but it was far from convincing. And look, maybe that's just what they need. They need to get the 2 points, get some confidence back, understand like that winning feeling again.
Yes.
But it didn't convince me that we're looking at the Knights that we saw in that 10-game run last year. And not to say that they would expect to be at that form again this early in the season, but it didn't convince me that. Put it this way: at the moment, they aren't playing top 8 footy. Whereas at this time of the year, after what they did last year, I wouldn't expect them to be at the top of the table, but I would expect them to at least be playing top 8 footy, and that's where I feel like the disconnect is in regards to how they're going.
Nope, totally agree, mate.
To the Warriors, how important was that win over the Raiders? Obviously went down to the wire. But just imagine this side, who I think has actually been playing some really good footy. Imagine if they were 0-3 right now, how different the conversations would be.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they would be. But you'd also have to take into account those previous two. They were right in the match as well. There was opportunities for them to win. For various reasons, they didn't. And at certain times of those first two matches, they were leading the game.
Yeah.
Particularly the Storm game. Like, they should have won that.
Yeah.
Up by 8, 3 to go. They're the games that you need to finish off, particularly with the class of players that you do have in your footy side. So they'd be ruining that one. But, hey, it's early in the season. No need to get bogged down by that one loss. They need to keep looking forward. And it was a good way to kick off their season with their first win last week. I think they can extend that to 2.
Now, Sharkies v. the Raiders. Sharkies are still favourites in this one, but Finucane, Hunt, Rudolph out. Hamlin, Ueli still out. Talakai is going into the second row with Ito into the centres. Schiller and Chris come into the back line for the Raiders, and Rapana is playing his 200th game for the Raiders. I actually like the Raiders in this one.
Yeah. Yep. Tell me your reasons, please.
Okay, my reasons. Obviously, all of those outs, but the Raiders, for me, are playing top 8 footy. Okay, yes, do they lack some star power in the spine? Okay, I'll grant that. But is their forward pack been playing at a top-tier premiership level? I do think they have. I've really liked what I've seen from the Raiders, and I just think that when you look at the Sharkies and the amount of players they have out in the middle, I just think that they may struggle to go with this Raiders forward pack. Now, they may be able to make up for it with Nico Hines bouncing back from a disappointing performance last week, but I think the Raiders are playing great footy. I really do.
Yeah, mate, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're playing tough footy. And sometimes that's the style of footy that gets you these early wins. So when teams are still settling into their season, working on combinations, team sort of game plans and all that may not be settled. But when you play tough footy and you play with effort, which the Raiders have been playing with, you get results. And that's what's happened for them. Like, they're sitting third on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's no fluke. That's no fluke. That comes from playing some pretty decent football, whether it be through your defence, through your attack, through effort, whatever it is, you need to be doing something pretty well, consistently. So I'm with you. With the way that they're playing at the moment, they're bringing some pretty good form into it. Big game for Jordan Rapana, of course, one of their long-serving players at the club. They'll be up for this one. And you're taking Finucane, Hunt, and Rudolph out of this lineup. I like everything about the Raiders. And I think, having coached at Cronulla, I think you'll have them very, very fired up.
And I think they've got a really good record at Shark Park. But we're going to head to a break. After the break, we'll get to the final game. Eels versus Tigers on a Monday. Eels v the Tigers. Moses out. Talagi, he's going to play at 6. Brown at halfback. Sivo returns. Change to the Tigers. 12 ruled out with concussion. Kapoa comes onto the bench. What do you reckon, Smithy?
Oh, good Monday clash. Always a big one. Another battle of the West, actually. Blaze Talangi. How good was he on debut?
Mate, I really like this kid, and he may fix their woes of an explosive outside back.
But he's playing halves. Unbelievable.
Well, so he's playing 6. He actually played a lot of fullback at in New South Wales Cup, and Brad Arthur has been a bit, is Gutho the long-term guy? Maybe he'll play centre. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this young kid.
Difficult one, this one. Strong lineup, of course, Eels. No Mitch Moses, though. That's a big out for me. Love the enthusiasm from the Tigers last week, led beautifully by Api Coruscant. Tell you what I'm going to do, mate. I'm going to go and upset on Monday. I'm going the West Tigers.
The Tigers? What? Wow. Yep. Holy. There you go. And I just want to leave this with a parting text that finally we've found someone with a bit of sense. Denim. Okay. Now, he got my name wrong, but that's okay.
Yes.
Smithy's long struggled to sleep. You try sleeping with a truckload of cash stuffed in a doona on top of you. And yes, he's up at sunrise every morning to count it again. Regards, Murray.
Stop it.
There it is. The people have spoken. Wake up at 7 o'clock. See you next week.